Good evening. We'll call the meeting to order. We'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call. Note that all board members are present with the exception of Stuart Stein, which is why I'm sitting here. Conflict 2.2, conflicts of interest.
I would like to report that I will recuse myself from voting on action item 6.3.2.
Okay, and we need a motion to.
I move we accept that recusal.
Second.
Motion by Moulton, second by Rossman. Questions, comments? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, 2.3, review and approval of the agenda.
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda.
Okay, motion by Lohr,
Second.
second by Rossman. Questions, comments? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Approval of minutes of the April 14th and May 1st meetings.
I move we approve the minutes of April 14th and May 1st, 2025.
Okay, motion by Moulton,
Second.
second by Rossman. Questions, comments? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carried. 2.5, receive financial reports for April of 2025.
Thank you. In the general fund, the revenue came in at 1.7 million for the month of April and was exceeded by expenditures reported at 2.4 million. The financials in May will reflect an increase to revenue as property taxes payable in 2025 are noted to be received. The ending cash balance of 4.7 million is an expected decrease from the previous year due to the budgeted use of cash on hand. Capital outlay revenue consisted of the typical tax property proceeds in the amount of $366,000. Expenditures included $529,000 towards the athletic complex construction and $226,000 towards locker room furnishings. The cash balance in this fund will increase next month with the receipt of property taxes. Special education received federal revenue in the amount of $272,000 in support of IDEA special education costs. The cash balance of $2.4 million in this fund is above that of the previous year due to the timing of federal allocations. LATC revenue was moderate for the month at $435,000, aligning closely with projections for this period. Expenditures exceeded reported revenue as typical for the month of April and brought the cash balance to just over $9 million at month end. Enterprise operations for both K-12 and LATC continue to operate at levels to accommodate their respective programs. In the Employee Benefit Trust, the premium and administrative costs totaling $740,000 was below the reported claims at $1 million, resulting in a cash balance of $3.1 million. Looking ahead to FY26, the fund is expected to implement an increase to premiums to help offset the rising trend in claim percentages and ensure continued financial stability in this fund. I'd be happy to answer any questions if you have any.
Let's hope prescription drug costs go down as stated by policy that was stated in the Oval Office today, so that hopefully will help, maybe.
Yes, and we do receive prescription rebates under our Wellmark plan, which does help offset some of that cost.
Very good. Thank you.
That would be good news, yes. Motion to approve the financial reports.
So moved.
Motion by Rossman,
Second.
second by Lohr. Questions? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Student and staff recognition. Dr. Daniels.
All right. Welcome. We've got some students to be recognized this evening. I'm going to start with some 2025 Academic Excellence Awards. And these students were high school seniors recognized by the governor at a luncheon on April 28th. And I want to say it was the top quarter in the state, or top 10%?
One.
Sorry, Max, top 1%.
Yep.
My bad. That would have been too many kids out there, I guess, if it had been a top quarter. Top 1% in the state. And so this evening, we had 3 students selected to receive this honor. And if you would come up when I call your name, Max Dilla. Come on up.
Congratulations. Good. I think you have to
You got to
stand
smile
right
for that camera too there, Max.
Yeah.
And then stay here just a second, Max. Emma Hendricks and Molly Hendricks, and they let me know they are unable to attend this evening. So, but let's give the Hendricks twins a round. Any last photo op for Max? Good. Okay. Thank you, sir. Congratulations. And then we had this is for the senior honor choir. Jonas Geyer auditioned and was selected to participate in the 51st South Dakota ACDA Senior Honor Choir at Northern State University this summer. For the audition, Jonas had to complete several tasks. This included a memorized piece in which he chose an Italian aria called, and I was focusing on My Country 'Tis of Thee, Jonas. Per la Gloria di Adorarvi by Giovanni Bonaccini.
Okay.
Close? Close enough. He also sang My Country 'Tis of Thee, which I was hoping that I would have been able to, and completed a sight reading and tonal memory test. The final portion included a written test on musical terms. Jonas scored very well, earned his spot as one of the top tenors selected in the state of South Dakota. He will attend a camp at Northern State University from July 20th to 25th with a final performance on Friday evening at 7:30 p.m. Jonas will be working under the direction of Chris Maunu from Portland, Oregon. He serves as artistic director of the acclaimed Pacific Youth Choir, affiliate faculty at Portland State University, and artistic director of the professional ensemble Choro in Scola. Congratulations, Joe.
Well done.
Glad I wasn't singing that with you. I would not have been selected. And now we have 2 Destination Imagination teams placed first at the state competition in April. 1 elementary team and 1 high school team. The elementary team is coached by Ken McIntosh, and the high school team is coached by Jen Brist. The high school team is moving on to global finals competition in Kansas City later this month. So for our elementary team, and I'm going to ask the team members to come up one by one, and then you'll stand right here and we'll get you in that shot right there, and if there's any photo ops we need. Placing first in Service Learning Challenge, Jackson Geist, Tate Snell, Lachlan McIntosh, and Monroe McIntosh. Stay here, Jackson.
Right up in front.
Right in
Yep.
front. Congratulations. We'll get you in that shot. Right, look at that camera.
Smile for the camera. Good job. Thanks, guys.
Good work.
Good job.
Did you get your picture?
And at the high school level, placing first in the Fine Arts Challenge, Caitlin Beauchamp, Aaliyah Johnson, Raina Schaefer, and Lennon McIntosh. Congratulations.
Wait for the picture.
Do you need those other 4 back up here, Brandon? Do you need help? You're good? You're all right. All right. Thank you.
Okay, we'll move on to number 3, discussion items, LATC. Public input on agenda or non-agenda items.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming.
Thank you.
Okay, 3.2, class of 2024 placement report and 2025 graduation.
Oops, nope, this is Lake area, Mr. Clements.
Yeah.
We'll get to you, I promise.
Simple.
I know you're eager.
Miss that. Good evening. We'll start tonight talking about the class of 2024 and the graduate outcomes for those who graduated this time last year. As you know, every year, 6 months after graduation, we catch up with those who have left Lake Area, gone out into the world, see how they're doing, see where they're employed. There are a whole lot of data points and metrics that we collect every year, and one of the very most important to us in terms of being able to know whether we're fulfilling our mission as a college or not is whether our graduates are able to get great paying jobs in their field of study, and in an ideal situation that they're doing that here in South Dakota. So I know it's a long time running that Lake Area Tech has had very strong graduate outcomes reports, and I have very good information to share with you again this year for the class of 2024. Last year we had 781 graduates who earned 806 credentials. That was back in May of 24. We were able to connect with 768 of that 781. That's a 98% response rate, which is a very good response rate, very strong, and gives us an indication of, even though we missed a couple of them, how the whole class did together. 632 of them, or 82%, remain here in South Dakota, which is about where our graduate placement in South Dakota has been. Slightly down, it's been 84% the last 2 years as an example, but in the ballpark. 151 of the class of 2024 are continuing their education or currently serving in the armed forces. So that leaves 613 of them who are employed. There are just a handful. 5 of them are currently not in the workforce, which means that they're caring for a family member. They are incarcerated or have passed away, just 5 in that category. And there are 6 who are still seeking their careers. So a very strong number of them, 613 again, who are working. So if you take all of that batch together for the class of 2024, that means that 99% of them have been placed. We consider placement those who are working, continuing their education, or serving in the armed forces. At least for the last 7 years, 99% of our graduates have gone on to one of those 3 paths: working, continuing their education, or serving in the armed forces. Let's talk for just a second about those who are employed. 93% of them are working in their field of study. 81% working here in South Dakota, and 74% of them are working in their field of study here in South Dakota. So if we look at the ideal situation where they're working, living in South Dakota, working in their field of study, that 74% is a pretty strong number for our class of 2024. Generally at this point, when we share out our graduate placement information, we're able to share what the wages were on average for those graduates. Our team is still working with the Department of Labor and Regulation to validate that data. It'll be shared out next week at the State Board of Technical Education meeting. So I'll follow up with you all in terms of that wage data. I have about half of it that I've been able to review, and there are about half of the programs that are still under validation. Really strong wage increases in those that I've seen between the class of 23 and class of 2024. So again, more good news to share, and that transitions us really well into what's happening this Friday with the class of 25 and graduation from Lake Area Tech. Before I get into the highlights of class of 2025, what questions do you have for me in terms of graduate outcomes for the class of 2024?
Part of Dakota Build is that they must remain in the state for a certain number of years. Is that correct?
That's correct. Build Dakota Scholarship has that 3-year work requirement here in South Dakota. We'll have about 100 graduates that are Build Dakota Scholars this week, and there were 155 that started last fall, so they'll be graduating, most of them, this time next year. So that's certainly a strong piece of that 75% who are living, working here in South Dakota.
Thanks.
All right, well, let's talk about the class of 2025. Our graduation will be this Friday, May 16th at 4 p.m. in the Civic Arena. This is preliminary information. A few things will adjust based on finals week happening as we speak, but there are 894 distinct individuals who are qualified to graduate. That's about 100 up from where we were this time last year. Our record high was in the class of 2023, that was 898, so we're right in the ballpark of that record-setting number. Lake Area Tech accounts for about a third of the graduate production across the entire technical college system in the state. And as you're very, very familiar, our goal is to increase that number of graduates each year through 2030 up to 1,015 graduates per year. So we've kind of benchmarked every year and where we want to hit. If we graduate that 894 for the class of 2025, that puts us about 10 more than our goal was for this year. So a huge congratulations to our faculty and staff who have supported our students in big and small ways to help them succeed in their journey. We have about 600 graduates who are planning to walk through the ceremony on Friday, so it will be a happening place. It is a ticketed event, so each graduate has a certain number of tickets that they can share with family and friends. Our commencement address speaker is Dr. Jordan Little. He is a WHS graduate. He battled cancer, has done a ton of exploration in the outdoors, and now is pursuing to work as a physician in the future. And so his journey and his story will be a very good one for our students. The class of 2025 comes to us from 15 different states across the country. 81% of them are from South Dakota originally, 19% from out of state. In South Dakota, the class of 2025 represents 166 communities in 54 of our 66 counties. So very good coverage across the state. While they studied at Lake Area Tech, 70% of them worked while they were studying, and nearly 40% of them worked 20 or more hours per week. So many of our students are working a high number of hours while they're studying. 15 of our graduates are veterans, and 21% of them, I love this stat, are the first to earn a college degree of any kind in their family. And so as we think about our mission in changing lives, launching careers, to know that 21% of our graduating class is the first to earn that honor in their family, that's a pretty special thing that we all get to be a part of. So those are great stats. They've done it in a focused and motivated way. Our graduation rate for on-time graduates out of this class is 71%. So they came in, they buckled down, and most of them are completing right on time. So congratulations to all of those graduates. And again, a huge thanks to our faculty and our staff for the support that they've given our students along their journeys. I'll stand by for any questions that you have.
Let's hope we have some great continued growth and we can find housing for everybody.
I like the way you think.
Thank you. That's excellent.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Great to hear that.
It's really kind of fun to see all the different numbers, you know, the number of states, and almost 20% of our kids are from out of state, which is a great thing. Any other questions or comments? We will transition then into action items for LATC. 4.1 personnel.
Very good. Tonight I am working off of the blue sheet that has updates in front of you. And before you, you see a list of resignations. I recommend your approval as those are presented.
I'll make a motion to approve the resignations.
Okay,
Second?
motion by Laura, second by Rossman. Questions, comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Okay, motion carried. 4.1.2, contract recommendations and addendums.
Very good. Before you are a variety of full-time recommendations for employment, some part-time temporary adjuncts, and a couple that are going to be working on curriculum development over the summer. I recommend your approval as those are presented.
Okay, a motion.
So moved.
Motion by Rossman,
Second?
second by Laura. Questions, comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Okay, motion carried. That brings us to property, 4.2.1, authority to bid.
Great. Tonight we're seeking your approval to move forward with bids for surgical technology equipment. A couple of weeks ago we announced that Sanford was investing in our surgical technology learning center with the last of the equipment needed for the operatory suites in that project. And that gift will come to us in July, and so with this authority to bid, we would start the process of ensuring we have everything prepared prior to July when those funds would become available, and then be ordered and installed prior to the school year. So I'd seek your approval to move forward with the bid process.
Okay, a motion?
I move that we approve authority to bid surgical technology equipment.
Motion by Moulton, second by Rossman. Questions or comments? Thank you to Sanford for the assistance.
It's a great program. It's going to help regional hospitals and here.
Yeah. I would assume we're looking at, growth in that program because there's just tremendous need.
I was just going through the enrollment report today, and surgical technology is scheduled to bring in 21 students into the class this fall, and if I'm remembering correctly, we have 18 second-year students. So that's where we'll be next fall. We're working to grow up to 48 total students in that program.
Okay, excellent. Any other questions or comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. That's it, isn't it?
That's it.
for
Can you believe
LATC
it?
items, okay?
Thank you, guys.
Yeah.
Have a good
Thank
night.
you.
Move to item 5.1, public input on agenda or non-agenda items. Okay, hearing none, we'll go to 5.2, Northeast Technical High School report.
Yes, a reminder to our board members, meeting on May 21st. And all reports were that the project night was a success, so thanks for your support of that. That happened here April 30th, so sounds like that went well.
The only glitch in the project thing was I did not get the item I bid on. I should have stuck around longer.
Gotta be there right at the end there,
That's
Johnny.
my fault. 5.3, high school graduation report. Mrs. McClemens.
Good evening. Thanks for having me tonight to talk about high school graduation. It's hard to believe that it's right around the corner and just a couple weeks away. We will be hosting graduation on Sunday, May 25th at 2 p.m. at the Watertown Civic Arena. If you're not able to make it to the graduation, we will live stream it through Arrow TV. We will post that on our website as well as on our Facebook page for those that are looking for that link. As far as our data for our graduates this year, we are expecting 288 total graduates for the class of 2025. 268 will be participating in the ceremony this year. Of those, we had 26 early graduates. 19 of those will be walking at graduation this year. 3 of our graduates are early graduates as juniors. All 3 will be walking with us this year. We have 2 night school graduates this year. And then this year we've also had 11 Arrow Success Academy graduates. And of those, 3 of them are walking, and I believe today I heard of another one, so I believe that's now going to be 12. So one had finished up their last class, so they will also be walking. And then we have 5 non-grads from previous years that came back and finished up their requirements to graduate as well. So that's nice to see, because we do reach out to those students to see if we can get them back so that we can complete high school and their credits, whether that's through night school or ASA or back into the just in the traditional classroom. We find out what meets their needs the best, and we try to plug them into that program and get them through with the Watertown High School diploma. So that's some successes that we've had. We also will have a celebration for our Native American graduates, honoring with the Lake Area Native American graduates. We do that together. It's a collaboration. I do want to give a special thank you for Stephanie Traversy over at Lake Area. She kind of spearheads it, and then we collaborate and provide some resources and communicate about how that ceremony will go. And this year it will be held on Thursday, May 15th at 5:45. We will be doing this at D.D. Miller Auditorium this year. We normally have it on the 4th floor at Lake Area, but we're going to have it here at D.D. Miller. Vic Godfrey and President Sanderson will be sharing a message with us this year, so that'll be fun to hear from Mr. Godfrey. And then we also have a ceremonial leader and singers that assist with the ceremony, as high school students will be presented with medicine wheels, and our LATC students will be presented with eagle feathers. And so they'll do a blessing over those two, and it's a really fun ceremony. The students get to pick a family member, and they present that with them, and then the family member ties it into their hair, and each one gets to do that, and we get to hear the singers perform, and it's just a really meaningful ceremony. After that, we will go into the lunchroom, and we have a full dinner as family and guests, and so that's always a unique part of that family feel too. So that's a fun activity that we have coming up. We will have graduation practice, believe it or not, on Monday at 11:30 in the arena. And then following graduation practice, our seniors are going to get to go on a walk at their elementary schools or an elementary school of their choosing. And then I also want to give a shout out to our district staff, because without them, our students would not be where they're at. And so I welcome them to congregate at 1:45 on graduation day to cheer our kids in as they walk into the arena for graduation. So like I said, it's at 2 o'clock. We will have Meister singers and our symphonic band playing throughout the graduation. We will have 2 student speakers. We have auditions on Wednesday, so I don't have their names for you. So we're doing it a little bit different, and so we have 4 kids auditioning for that. And so it'll be exciting what messages they have coming up for us. So I would entertain any questions you might have.
The Native American graduation,
Mhm.
that you said that's Thursday, May 15th.
Yep,
So this coming Thursday?
Yes.
Okay. And what was the time again on that?
5:45.
5:45?
Yep.
Any other questions? Okay, thank you.
Yep, thank you.
5.4, presentation of the preliminary 25-26 budget.
All right, the 25-26 preliminary budget was discussed in detail at the budget work session held on May 1st, in which board members and administration have the chance to thoroughly review and discuss in level of detail. Board members have been provided a hard copy of the budget, and a PDF version can be found on the district's website. The presented preliminary budget to operate the Watertown School District for the 25-26 school year is in the amount of $116,846,196. This is a decrease of 10.91% from the previous year. The largest shifts in budget percents come from capital outlay, in which decreased by 53.52%. Due to the athletic complex construction, and LATC decreasing by 12.28% from the previous year due to construction in progress of the archway, with the majority completed in FY25. K-12's budget operation makes up 54% of the overall budget, with LATC at 46%. The general fund budget reflects a 2.33% decrease, with a total proposed budget of $31.9 million. Revenue supports are made up of 43% local and 44% state, followed by 9% in use of cash on hand, capital outlay transfer, and 4% in federal revenue. The reported budget anticipates an enrollment of 3,460 students. In the general operations, salaries and benefits make up 84% of the budget, followed by purchase services and supplies. The special education fund budget reflects a 1.6% increase, with a total proposed budget of $9.1 million. The property tax levy is noted at 1.462, and a state aid reflected increase of 1.25%. The expenditures are made up of 92% towards salary and benefits, followed by purchase services relating to out-of-district placements and other contracted services. The capital outlay fund is budgeted at $8.9 million, which is a decrease of 53.52% from the previous year, a majority relating to the construction in progress of Phase 2 completed in the previous fiscal year. The budget projects an ending fund balance of $2.9 million, or 39.65% of fund expenditures. K-12 enterprise funds include nutrition services, concessions, driver's education, and preschool services, totaling $2.5 million. Nutrition services noted as the largest enterprise operation at $2.2 million. Lake Area Technical College makes up 46% of the district's budget at $53.9 million between all funds. The main operation of Lake Area Technical College saw a decrease of 12.28%. Salaries and benefits make up the majority of the budget at 57%, followed by professional services and equipment line items. Salaries received a 1.25% increase in order to follow legislative expectations, with funding under the state noted to increase by 1.25%. LATC enterprise funds included services for Market 65, the bookstore, and the daycare center Educare, totaling $5.4 million. Please note that the budget hearing is scheduled for July 14th at 5 p.m. At that time, the FY25 budget will be reviewed and adopted for the 25-26 school year. I'd be happy to answer any questions if you have any.
Just to clarify, at the budget meeting, for the general fund, you just mentioned 92% for salaries and benefits out of the general fund. Is that what you just said?
It was 86% out of the general fund.
That's what I thought.
Mm-hmm.
I was thinking it was like 84.
84% of the budget for salaries and benefits in the general fund,
Okay,
whereas special education is 92%.
got it.
Okay.
Thanks for clarifying that.
Mm-hmm.
I think we moved to 5.5, first reading on policies.
Yes, continued work on our policy review, and the first one is the superintendent job description, and the only changes there are just in a couple of acronyms on that first page, updating from LATI to LATC, and then updating from the Lake Area Multi-District to Northeast Tech High School, and the acronyms for those two. Otherwise, the job is the same. Then on CBI, evaluation of the superintendent, this is also for review. Just noting that the board will evaluate the superintendent, put the performance in writing, and that is discussed in executive session, and we typically do that in January. 5.5.3 is essentially the line of authority, or you might sometimes hear it referred to as a chain of command, and staff relations, just pointing out how that line of authority should be within the district. That is also for review. And then CFA denotes the responsibilities of principals and directors, and those are for review. And I would note these were compared, even though all four of those are more for review, they were compared to the Associated School Board model policies, and aside from some wording, the substance of them were very similar, so we kept our policies intact without making those changes to those four. And then on policy GCB, this is vacations for 12-month administration. And the note there was if you have carryover vacation, it previously could be you extended to November 30th. So and a vacation time would be from July 1 through June 30th, and then the carryover to use that was November 30th. Otherwise, it was essentially unused, extending that date to December 31st, essentially having the remainder of the calendar year to do that. That's the change there in GCB. And then the final one is GCCB. This notes for those administrators and directors who have less than year-round 12-month contracts, so they are on days contract. This is indicating an up to the personal leave from 3 to 5. We have previously addressed our other staff, but not addressed those principals and directors who are on extended contracts. And so moving that from 3 days to 5 days, that is the change in GCCB.
Okay, we'll go to the action items. 6.1, approval of the bills.
I'll make a motion to approve the bills.
Okay, motion by Laura,
Second.
second by Rossman. Questions? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Next, 6.2, personnel. 6.2.1, retirements.
Just one retirement for you this month. Thank you to Joan for her years of service. I would recommend that approval.
Okay, entertain a motion.
So moved.
Motion by Rossman,
Second.
second by Laura. Questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. 6.2.2, resignations.
A variety of resignations there. One letter that you do have that's just not listed on a name on your green sheet is Ashley Holloway. That's your last sheet that you have there. So just noting that that should be on there as well. But would recommend the approval of those resignations as presented.
And then with the note that extra duty positions are pending suitable replacement.
Okay, a motion.
So moved.
A motion by Laura,
Second.
second by Rossman. Questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. 6.2.3, leave of absence.
We have a request for a leave of absence. Would recommend your approval.
For explanation, this is, we do have a memorandum of understanding with our WEA. We have a staff member who is in line to ascend to the SDEA presidency, and that was an unexpected item. The current president is leaving a year early, and so the request is that next year be granted a leave of absence.
Okay, a motion.
Make a motion to approve the leave of absence as presented.
Okay, motion by Rossman,
Second.
second by Laura. Questions, comments? In way of kind of trivia or background, it's pretty awesome to have one of our people be the head of the South Dakota Education Association. If we go back in time, I think Alan Mitchell, for whom the track is named after, was the first president of SDEA. So that's your little history background.
Not on the rock, so I didn't know
It's not on the
that,
rock,
John,
nope,
so-
nope. And a few of you remember Alan Mitchell. I had the pleasure of teaching with him for one year. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Okay, motion carried. 6.2.4.
For these contracts here, there's a variety of hires that we've been able to find for some of our resignations that we received. In here, hiring the assistant principal at the intermediate school, Aaron Kanowski. And then also wanted to point out that we do have a couple of pairs that did our pair-to-teacher program, and we are hiring them as staff as well to be teachers for us. So it's nice to see that program pay off for us in that manner too. So would recommend your approval of those.
Okay, I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve the contract recommendation and addendums.
Okay, motion by Laura,
Second.
second by Rossman. Questions, comments?
Is that social studies position at the high school?
Yes, we had
Okay.
two openings. We've been able to fill
Okay.
one of them so far.
Okay.
That was high school.
Yes,
Okay.
the social studies.
Mr. President,
Yes.
I have a couple comments. Concerning alternative ed, which handles at-risk students. Before this program was disabled or gutted in 2007, we had an off-campus program. There were 6 teachers in that program, 3 for grades 9 and 10, 3 for grades 11 and 12. So right now, the district employs 1 teacher for the high school program. It's Aero Success Academy. They also borrow teachers from the high school for core subjects such as math, English, science, and social studies for an instructional block of time. Alt-Ed is a wonderful program. It's great assistance for at-risk students, and we need more dedicated teachers. That's my feeling for that program. I think it could be even more successful and have more graduates. The other issue is that pulling core teachers from the high school wing further creates a shortage of teachers at the high school and increases overcrowded classes for high school students, which is why we need additional teachers for the Aero Success or at-risk or alternative ed. Fewer teachers pulled equals large classes, or fewer teachers that would be available would certainly not help. Second topic of concern is the social studies curriculum. I have some questions, particularly for grades K through 6. This is the social studies standards from the state. It's intense, detailed. It's meant to be that way because as a nation, if we don't know our history, we have problems. So my question is, are teachers being given adequate resources and instruction in its adoption? Have we been having increased in-services with maybe history as a topic? What's been available? I know the state is supplying some resources, but down the line, what are we going to provide for elementary teachers? Secondly, during the consideration, which is part of this motion right now, for social studies curriculum revision, I'm hoping that there's some coordination between English teaching and social studies because they mesh very well. We used to have a wonderful course here called American Studies that meshed American literature with American history. Sadly, it went away when it shouldn't have. Also, I'm troubled by reduction of separate courses for 9th grade accelerated college prep world geography and 10th grade accelerated college prep world history. I'm going to read you a short list. These are the courses offered by some of our brother and sister schools. Sioux Falls Schools, Jefferson, Washington, Roosevelt, Lincoln, offers for 9th grade world geography and AP human geography. 10th grade, they offer world history or AP history modern. O'Gorman, world geography or AP human geography. World history or AP world history modern. Aberdeen Central, world history or honors world history. Brookings, world geography or AP human geography. Brandon Valley, AP world history. Harrisburg, world geography or AP human geography. World history or AP European history. AP US history. AP government. AP psychology. T, school district, world geography or honors geography, college prep level. World history or honors world history, college prep levels. So when our students leave here and they compete at colleges and universities with these students who've had advanced training, advanced knowledge, and a deeper dive into curriculum. So it's a worry that we aren't going to be providing that. We're simply going to meld all these students together into one group, regular, advanced. So I have questions about that. Finally, the state is pushing, this has to do with reading curriculum. It's called Science of Reading. Strong emphasis on phonics. And state has provided training, and we'll be providing some more training across the state. So I'm hoping that we're going to take advantage of this locally, that we're going to integrate this. It's a wonderful course, really sets students up, particularly in grades K through 3, to be readers. And reading carries over into all subjects, and that includes math as a skill. So that's my concerns about curriculum and summer work that's going to be taking place.
Okay, thank you, Jean.
Mm-hmm.
Any other comments, questions? Okay, all in favor of the recommendations?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Okay, motion carried. Puts us to 6.3.1 in property. We have a bid to consider, the Lincoln School North Parking Lot.
Yeah, the district recommends accepting the sole bid received from Dunick Incorporated for the Lincoln School North Parking Lot project in the amount of $164,570.
Want a motion?
A motion.
Second?
Okay,
Aye.
motion by Moulton, second by Rossman. Questions or, did I do that right?
You did. I was just gonna state it a little more clearly.
Okay.
You're fine. Thank you, Mr. President.
Any questions about the parking lot paving project? And it's scheduled to be done before?
Yep,
didn't
start
see.
in July and done before school starts in August.
Okay, that sounds good. Any other questions or comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. 6.3.2, consider proposals for banking services.
Yes, the district recommends accepting the proposal from First Premier Bank for comprehensive banking services to ensure the efficient management of district funds, provide competitive financial services, and enhance operational efficiencies. The proposal will establish a service agreement starting in July of 2025.
Okay, I'll entertain a motion to accept the proposal.
Okay.
Okay, motion by Moulton,
Second?
second by Rossman.
Would you like it stated more formally?
It's in print here, so we'll consider that good.
I move we accept the proposal for First Premier Bank.
Okay, motion by Moulton, second by
Still a
Rossman,
second,
is that
yep.
right?
Yep.
Okay, questions? Comments?
I have more of a comment. We received 7 very competitive proposals back for the district. A lot of them with a lot of community support. All in all, we came down to the interest rate, the fee structure, everything that was involved with the RFP process. I know we have First Interstate, our current banking relationship, here, so thank you guys for coming. We really have appreciated our long-standing relationship with you. Melissa Taranis has been phenomenal to work with, and so just appreciate them being here, and I know that Mark Dunn and his team from First Premier is also here to represent. So a great process. It was nice to work with all of the community banks. A lot of interest there, and all in all, we feel we are getting some great information back, and we're looking forward to moving forward with that process.
Okay, and I sat in on the committee that evaluated, and I was very impressed with all the work and effort and time that went into that, and the thoroughness of the process.
I would commend Heidi and Emily in particular for their diligence in this process. You know, it's not an easy undertaking, in particular to know that the outcome may be a change which then impacts their world quite extensively. So appreciate that.
It is a lot of work.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Makes for it being fair and transparent, so, yeah, thank you.
Okay, we have the motion in the second, don't we?
Oh, yes.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Okay, motion carried. 6.3.3, consider change order number 6 for the athletic complex.
Yes, the proposed change order consists of 9 modifications to the project in the amount of a $46,301 addition to the contract. The changes include code revisions to the field house, structural support for the perforated panels at the ticket booth, concrete infield previously identified as turf grass in front of the field house, and minimal adjustments to flooring selection, tile, and irrigation modifications. The construction contingency was approved at $525,000, and the change order adjusts the remaining contingency to $387,000. The contract for this project is adjusted to $10.9 million.
Okay, a motion, I'll entertain a motion to accept these change orders.
Mr. President, I move that we consider and accept the change order number 6 as explained.
Okay, motion by Moulton,
Second.
second by Rossman, I believe.
Yep.
Yes.
Okay, questions or comments? As I look through, I believe one of these involves some fencing around the heating and cooling units, is that correct?
Yes, yep,
I think that's a very good move.
yep, for safety reasons and for, you know, it's fun to
Aesthetics.
put
Yeah.
rocks in there for
Yeah.
young kids, but, yep, so that will help.
Takes one target out of play.
Yeah.
Yes, yep.
Okay, any other comments or questions? Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Let's go to 6.4, district product bids. 6.4.1, the food distribution products.
Yeah, the district recommends accepting the renewal with Performance Food for the supplying of food distribution for the 25-26 school year.
Okay, I'll entertain a motion to accept this.
I move we accept the bid from Performance Foods as explained.
Okay, motion by Moulton,
Second?
second by Lohr. Questions, comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. 6.4.2, paper products.
The district recommends accepting the bid received from Contract Paper Group for the supplying of paper products for the 25-26 school year.
Okay, entertain a motion.
So moved.
A motion by Lohr,
Second.
second by Rossman. Questions, comments? Heidi, what are we seeing? Is this the dollar figure similar to last year, or we had some
Yeah.
inflation?
This was similar, but the year prior we had the inflation year, but it has not gone down.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion opposed? Okay, motion carried. That brings us to 6.5.1, the,
Yes, and I'll need separate motions on each of these, but
Okay.
BEC is executive session. There's no change from first to second reading on any of these, so if you want to go ahead and take them one at a time there, Mr. President.
Okay.
But the BEC, BGA, BGE, BIA, and BID are all part of that review, and I can talk about the GBG when we get to that.
okay, so let's do the first one. A motion for 6.5.1.
So moved.
Motion by Rossman,
Second?
second by Lohr. Questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. 6.5.2. A motion,
So moved.
a motion by Lohr,
Second.
second by Rossman. Questions, comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. 6.5.3, the policy dissemination. I'll entertain a motion.
I move we accept that.
Motion by Moulton,
Policy.
Second?
second by Lohr. Questions, comments? Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. 6.5.4, the board member education. I'll entertain a motion.
So moved.
Motion by Rossman,
Second?
second by Lohr. Questions, comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. 6.5.5 is the bid compensation, or BID compensation.
I'll make a motion to approve BID.
Thank you.
Second.
Okay, by Lohr, second by Rossman. Questions, comments? Okay, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carried.
And then with GBG-A, I just want to remind you that that will, I mean, it's in red letters there, large red letters, but it will be removed. And that is the certification of submission of fingerprints, because that was incorporated into our background check policy per the audit that we underwent for our background checks. So that is why this one could be removed.
Okay. So I'll entertain a motion.
I move we remove GBG as an appendix.
Okay, motion by Moulton,
Second?
second by Lohr. Questions, comments? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. 6.6, consider representation for South Dakota High School Activity Association.
Yes, we have 4 board member ballots to vote on. This is a 9-member board, so it's a little bit of an unusual year in that 4 of the positions are turning over. So for the small group Board of Education, there's only only one candidate, and that's Billy Clanton, Harding County. That is my recommendation to go ahead and vote for Billy.
Okay, so I'll entertain a motion.
I move we vote for Billy Clanton.
Okay, motion by Moulton,
Second.
second by Rossman. Any questions?
Felt like we got a lot of bank people in here. It feels like a 1800s bank robbery.
Yeah.
Just
it's-
thinking that.
Billy Clanton.
Yeah. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, motion carried. 6.6.2, the East River at-large representation.
East River at large, there are actually 5 candidates. It is most likely, and the way that works, if nobody gets 50% of the vote, there is a runoff between the top 2. I feel, that's my prediction, that there will probably be a runoff, and we'll vote on this one again in June. But my recommendation is for Ryan Rollinger, secondary principal at Harrisburg. He's currently on the board, and to help with some continuity, that's part of that rationale for that recommendation.
Okay, I'll entertain a motion.
I move approval or motion to vote for Ryan.
Okay,
Rollinger.
motion by Laura, second by Rossman. Any questions, comments? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Okay, motion carried. Let's go to 6.6.3.
That is for the Division I, so that is the largest schools, basically Sioux Falls, Rapid City, and Harrisburg. And Steve Moore, former activity director from Watertown, is one of the candidates from Sioux Falls Roosevelt High School. I recommend voting for Steve Moore for that position.
Okay,
Okay.
entertain a motion.
Make a motion to vote for Steve Moore for that position.
Motion by Rossman,
Second.
second by Laura. Questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. 6.6.4, Division 3.
This is Division III rep for a secondary principal, and this is to fill a term. It's to fill a 3-year term versus a full term. Recommendation Chad Allison from Lenox High School.
Okay, entertain a motion.
Make a motion to approve for the vote for Chad Allison.
Okay, motion by Laura,
Second.
second by Rossman. Any questions, comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. And I believe, just as background, you are a Division 2.
I am Division II. Yes, there's 4 divisions. Division I is those 3 largest schools. There's actually a total student enrollment that Harrisburg just nudged into, and then Sioux Falls, Rapid City. And then I would call Division II is essentially the rest of the AA schools.
ESD type schools.
Correct. And then Division III is, you can think of it like kind of Class A, and then Division IV would be the Class B. So when you see those divisions, that's about how it breaks
Okay.
down. It's not exactly that, because it's actually total number of, they divide it by total number of students in those categories, but it's roughly.
Okay. Let's move to 6.7, consider South Dakota High School Activity Association amendment ballots.
Yes, these are constitutional amendments that need to be voted on by the entire membership. I will tell you that that these are mainly cleanup language or loopholes trying to close. So I am recommending on number 1, that is, there are a couple of high schools in the state that are switching to trimesters. And so that is to adjust the eligibility to reflect the trimester credits. So recommending that as a yes vote.
Okay. Motion to approve the yes vote for Amendment 1.
I move we approve Amendment 1 as explained.
Okay. Motion by Moulton,
Second.
second by Rossman.
Yep.
Okay, questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. 6.7.2.
Yes, this deals with middle school participation. So at the high school level, you can have, you essentially, once you enter 9th grade, you get 8 semesters continuous after that. at times there are 7th and 8th graders who participate at the high school level. This starts that clock when you enter 7th grade. The loophole is that at times people were participating in 7th and 8th grade and then repeating 8th grade so that they could gain an extra year of eligibility in the high school level for 7-12 participation. So this starts the clock essentially once you start in 7th grade. You have 6 continuous years or 12 consecutive semesters. So it outlines the middle school part of that.
Okay.
So recommending a yes vote to change that amendment.
So in essence, it ends the red shirt, high school red shirt program.
At 8th grade, you would probably need to do that at 6th grade now.
Okay.
Not to
Okay.
give anybody the playbook of how they want to redshirt their children, but that's
think-
probably the next
I think we all know of
adjustment to that.
situations where that's happened. But
Yes.
Not in 6th grade, but.
Yes.
Okay, entertain a motion to accept the yes vote on Amendment 2.
So moved.
Go
A
ahead.
motion by Lohr,
Second.
second by Moulton. Questions, comments? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Let's go to Amendment 3.
Amendment 3 is, so amendments 3 and 4. So in the Activity Association handbook, there are sit-out periods when, say, a transfer takes place or there's eligibility concerns. And they were all referenced in school days. And because the 4-day school week has become more prevalent, the school days were, I'll say, unfairly punishing students who were in a 4-day school week. So, for example, it was meant to, if it was meant to be like a 2-week sit-out, you might say 10 school days. Well, in a 4-day school week, that's actually 2.5 weeks that you're now sitting out. So the references are changed to calendar days in Amendment 3.
Okay. So you're encouraging us to support the yes
Support
vote
that,
for
yes.
Amendment 3. I'll entertain a motion.
I move that we vote yes for Amendment 3.
Okay, motion by Moulton.
Second?
Second by Rossman. Questions?
Yep, let me clarify. There's also a bona fide move in Amendment 3 that deals with you have to actually move outside of your original residence. So I want to make sure that was stated, that that's part of Amendment 3. Because there's different sit-outs that are referred to by a bona fide move. And again, closing the loophole of I used to live in apartment 3, now I moved to apartment 4, so I can then avoid certain sit-out periods. So
Okay. All in
anyway,
favor?
sorry.
Aye.
All in favor of 3?
Aye.
Okay, opposed? Motion carried. 6.7.4, Amendment 4.
And Amendment 4 also cleans up to, refers to calendar days, and then also refers to the bona fide move, change in guardianship, some of that in there, but mainly indicates the calendar days from previous school days.
Okay. And vote yes is what you're
Vote yes,
recommending.
correct.
Okay. I'll entertain a motion.
I move we vote yes on Amendment 4.
Motion by Moulton. Second?
Second.
Second by Lohr. Questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. 6.7.5, Amendment 5.
Yes, this is directing a sending school to notify a receiving school of any pending suspensions of activity association rules or conduct violations. So athlete A is ejected from the last volleyball game of the season, which would be a 1-game sit-out of their next activity. But in between volleyball and basketball, they transfer schools. The sending school where the student was ejected from is now needs to notify the receiving school of this suspension so that they serve it. And you need to do that proactively versus waiting until you play them and then get beat by them and then turn them in and declare that they played an ineligible player.
Sounds like a very specific example.
Does it?
Yeah.
Because it's all hypothetical.
Yeah.
But it's to close that loophole and mandate. We do that already with a regular school suspension. So meaning if we suspend somebody for a week at Watertown High School, they move to a different school, we already notify them so that they're aware of that, because they can't enroll at that school until they've served their suspension.
So it basically
But
puts,
it mirrors what we do currently with the academic world, but it provides it for activities.
okay, so a motion to vote yes on Amendment 5.
Yes, and my recommendation
Yep.
is a yes vote on that.
So I'll entertain a motion
I
for,
move we vote yes on wonderful explanation
Yeah.
given.
Motion by Moulton, second.
Completely hypothetical.
Yeah.
Second.
Second by Lore. Any other questions or comments? Okay, it's not quite as easy to change the South Dakota Constitution or our federal Constitution is what
It's
the
a
Activity
little
Association.
easier on this, but
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Okay, 6.8, set annual budget hearing date as July 14, 2025. We need to vote on that.
yes, as mentioned earlier in the budget presentation, this is our regular July meeting, which would be at 5:30. So we have the budget hearing on July 14th at 5 o'clock ahead of the regular July meeting.
Okay, I'll entertain a motion.
I move we set the annual budget hearing date as July 14th, 2025 at 5 p.m.
Okay, motion by Moulton,
Second.
second by Rossman. Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. 6.9.
We do not have any open enrollments this month or 132810s for your consideration.
Okay, that takes us to 7.1, administrative reports.
Yes, just a couple of announcements related to the end of the year. For the public, we changed our retirement celebration a couple years ago. I think this is actually the third year of having an open house. That open house will be on Wednesday, the 14th, here in the high school commons from 3:45 to 5. The public is invited to stop in and congratulate our retirees on the conclusion of their careers with Watertown School District. A reminder that at last month's board meeting, we actually subtracted a day of school. So school will now dismiss on Thursday, May 22nd at 12:30. That's the end of the year. If we have a snow date in between now and then, I guess we'll figure that out. It's looking pretty good, but I probably just jinxed us there, Mr. President. And then, as Mrs. McClemens noted, graduation Sunday, May 25th at 2 p.m. Public is invited to that. And our Native American grads will be celebrated on Thursday evening, 5:45, in conjunction with the Lake Area crew, as noted in the presentation earlier. So we're appreciative of that. That's what I have for you.
Okay, that covers all of 7.1, doesn't it? 7.2, board reports to the superintendent.
I do. Kind of a serious note. Sorry to end on such a serious note. Watertown District, like every district in the state, faces headwinds of change. First, the school voucher issue is not going to be going away. It will probably be revised again in the state legislature next session. This directly impacts school funding and school enrollment. Second, the district has competition from parochial schools, homeschooling, as well as parents who have chosen to take their children to surrounding districts. This is the reality we face. District's response is critical. We have a strategic plan which is developed every 3 years. It's a good plan. In some ways, it's kind of a top-down plan. Not always all stakeholders have a say. Some facts from the past. Several years ago, the Watertown Education Association and high school teachers separately, tried to develop plans of reform. High school teachers were paid for 2 extra days to develop reforms for grading, discipline, attendance, in-school suspension, out-of-school suspension, handbook rules, etc. High school teachers' final document was sent to the district office, where it was torn up and discarded, not used. For my fellow teachers, this was the last straw. Many left. The WA plan, a limited reform was allowed, teacher preparation for elementary teachers, preparation time, which is a good thing. We're all in this together, we all need to row together. How many more good ideas can we put forward to help all of us together, our students, teachers, staff, patrons, and the parents of this district? So how many more good ideas can we bring to keep this district strong? That's my comment for the night.
And that would be our goal, to have a strong, solid district. Any other?
Yep, I do have notation for the upcoming June 17th election that will be held at the arena. We do have 4 that will be on the ballot. We have Jean Moulton, Craig Buss, Bailey Rammel, and Janelle Harms. So just look for that election coming up on June 17th in the arena.
And the hours for that, or is it
7 to 7.
7 to 7?
p.m.
Okay.
Combined with the city election, as, yeah, I guess you mentioned.
Yeah. Any other announcements or information? I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
I move we adjourn.
A motion by Moulton, second.
Second.
Second by Rossman. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Motion carried. We are adjourned.